Imaging is vital in the 4 different stages related to prostate cancer: detection, characterization, staging, and assessing response to therapy, either through MRI, bone scan, CT, and others. Imaging is valuable. However, it's only one tool that could certainly be improved upon to be more accurate. Our current screening regimens are not good enough. Improving them will require science-based medicine. And unfortunately, whenever you discuss screening, the issue is controversial, almost for any disease really, but particularly with breast cancer and prostate cancer. Watching the journey to a new scientific consensus about something as conflicting and as important as screening is often like watching sausage being made. It's a very ugly process and so frustrating as a patient advocate. As patient advocates, each of you is aware that in addition to educating an audience about the facts of prostate cancer, which I'm sure everyone in this room knows better than me, so I won't even bother to go into them, but you need secondary information on the impact. For example, men with prostate cancer in the first year of diagnosis, I've read, spend an average of 55 to 60 hours more on their medical care than those without cancer, which is a significant story to impart when you're advocating for your disease, because stories really stick, and it's what members on the Hill or other patient advocacy groups that you're trying to educate are going to remember about you. And there's other impacts, of course, the loss of productivity, the anxiety, not only for yourself, but oftentimes more so for members of your family and loved ones, and the financial stress and burden is a whole nother issue. Still, that knowledge and imparting it to people who can influence funding isn't enough, and unfortunately it isn't that simple. Being diagnosed is a very personal, emotional experience for any person to go through. Prostate cancer, ALS, brain tumors, diabetes, leukemia, anything. And the passion that is born to us from that experience is enormous. You or someone you love gets diagnosed or gets sick, and you realize oftentimes for the first time, a lot of people have never even heard of the diseases that they've been diagnosed with or don't even know what prostate cancer is. Hopefully you know you have a prostate or that you don't have a prostate, but it's oftentimes this huge explosion of emotion, and there's so much information out there now, especially with the internet, that you feel a true desire to really do something about it, to really advocate for your disease, and that's why everyone is here in this room. And across the city today, I guarantee there's 25 other conference rooms that are just as filled with just as much passion as there is here for prostate cancer. If only the amount of money matched the amount of passion that is up on the Hill every day that I see working with 50 different patient advocacy groups, we would have no problems. Unfortunately, we have patients with passion, and then those patients eventually realize the reality of the low amounts of discretionary funding that are available to fund any research or disease, especially in this environment. What happens is a lot of frustration. And so what we need is creativity. And that's sort of what my coalition does. We come up with creative ways to call attention to various diseases while not focusing solely on one disease, but focusing on ways that research can benefit various diseases, sort of to give a higher rate of return on the investment that we have. So from a personal perspective, because I work and am lucky enough to work with so many different patient groups through the coalition, I see firsthand, oftentimes, the frustration that comes from the reality of the lack of money sometimes leads groups to almost pit against one another with various different diseases. And I think overall it does a disservice to the advocacy community, but more than that, it makes us all appear fragmented, especially even within diseases. Sometimes there's advocacy groups who don't even get along with each other when they're advocating for the same disease, for example, diabetes. Overall, it doesn't make us stronger. I think that it actually makes us weaker as an advocacy community. And it doesn't stop there. There are several other issues. And it's hard to argue that there have been success stories, many of them, that take place on behalf of advocating for a very specific disease for a very specific reason. But I'm just trying to give you ideas and suggestions about how being creative and implementing creativity into your advocacy could actually lead to more success down the line, especially as you get frustrated with your efforts and the money that's available seems to shrink every year. In the past, the most effective patient groups have been patients who are able to generate and maintain enough momentum to bring their disease and issues to the forefront, using money, emotions, and sheer numbers. And that still works. But I feel that the tide in D.C. has been changing over the past few years, especially as NIH leadership has said to Congress, we really don't want to be told how to spend our money. We really want to be able to fund the best science that we feel is available. And so that creates a conundrum. But on the other hand, it's created an opportunity because now more than ever I feel that patient advocacy groups are willing to collaborate and work together. And you're all very lucky in the sense that Kevin is one of the few executive directors, in my opinion, that run an advocacy group such as this that actually really understands the big picture, the importance of both advocating very broadly for NIH funding while not losing sight of the fact that prostate cancer has its own very personal stories. And we've had the opportunity to work together on several joint initiatives, not only with this group, but with some of the other prostate groups as well. So when a congressman calls my office and says, what do you know about prostate cancer? Where can you send me? Who are the best groups to go to? It's very helpful, and it gets the momentum going. Imaging is not prostate cancer specific, and imaging isn't even organ specific, and it isn't even disease specific, because imaging is used to identify, for example, foreign objects when children swallow them, head trauma, which is what I might need today. And imaging is cross-cutting, and it's widely applied and offers increasingly improved specificity, early diagnosis, less invasive diagnosis, and often a way to track the effectiveness of treatment. So you could say that imaging has a very high rate of return, and it's a safe bet to advocate for imaging technology that will potentially screen accurately for prostate cancer and diagnose and stage it more accurately, perhaps earlier as time goes by, all while improving the diagnosis and treatment options of various other diseases. So in summary, the pie is limited, and Congress needs to support that research that has the greatest impact on patient care, and we should work together, not just the prostate community, but beyond that, to push for advances in basic science and translational research that can make a real difference in the course of diseases, and collaborate whenever possible to improve patient care. And my comments are in no way meant to dissuade you from using your own personal stories, because, for example, the Diabetes Caucus on the Senate side was started by Senator Susan Collins. She has no clue what diabetes is, and didn't at the time until a 10-year-old boy came into her office and tested his blood sugar in front of her, and she thought, you know what, I'm just going to start a caucus for this disease, and she did. So stories really stick, and collaboration with other patient groups is just one suggestion and idea to help you even further your agenda. Thank you for letting me come here today and talk to you.